Discover the transformative power of Zen and the art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress on Transformation Talk Radio. Every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, Dr. Steve Simpson combines the principles of Zen philosophy with the techniques of Neuro-Linguistic Programming to help you achieve your goals with ease and tranquility. Whether you're seeking personal growth, professional development, or improved relationships, this show offers practical strategies and insights to navigate life's challenges with a calm and focused mindset. Get ready to embrace a new level of success and serenity. Zen and the art of NLP starts now.
Everyone, it certainly does start now, today, because one of our greatest gifts is probably the one you never think about. It's your innate skill of looking deep into people's eyes. However, remember that it's not easy, sometimes unreliable, and can also be your greatest enemy, but it can also be your greatest friend. I'm Dr. Steve Simpson, and you are listening to Zen and the Art of NLP on Transformation Talk Radio. Every week, we'll choose a topic highlighting a core skill of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, otherwise known as NLP, because we believe in your potential to grasp and apply these concepts in your life. The three foundations of NLP are: number one, modeling excellence, no need to reinvent any wheels; number two, using effective language patterns; and number three, learning how to connect to the massive power of the unconscious mind, mainly through hypnosis, although there are other ways as well. These foundations form the basis of NLP and are crucial for understanding its principles and techniques. We'll also explore Zen philosophies. Zen is a state of calmness, attentiveness, and inner peace. It shares a common goal with NLP to enhance personal development and improve communication. Someone with a Zen attitude approaches a situation calmly and with a focused awareness. This is the home of peak performance and the source of massive results. Today's headline topic is the power of your eyes and how they might reveal your hidden secrets. I've got three quotes for you. Do you know what the poet Rumi thought about eyes? Everything that is made beautiful and fair and lovely is made for the eye of one who sees. And I wonder how many of us are not seeing what's in front of our eyes. And number two, do you know what artist Paul Klee thought about eyes? One eye sees, the other feels. And this guy coming up should know a bit about this one. Do you know what the artist Leonardo da Vinci thought about eyes? Why does the eye see a thing more clearly in dreams than the imagination when awake? So that's really more of a question, isn't it? And I've had to go through this a few times. I still get something else from this. I'll read it one more time. Why does the eye see a thing more clearly in dreams than the imagination when awake? And the source of these three inspirational quotes is from brainyquote.com. Stay with us for the next 30 minutes and let us help you experience that sweet spot of mind, body, and soul to embrace a new level of success and serenity, helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. Please post your questions and comments, and I'll do my best to answer them in the final part of the show. If you're brave, you can also call us now at our live call-in number, 1-800-930-2819. This is your chance to engage directly with the topic and share your thoughts with our audience. To remind you, today's headline topic is the power of your eyes and how they might reveal your hidden secrets. Now, NLP equips you with a practical tool of what is called eye accessing cues. Don't worry, I'll explain this, because when understood, this tool can empower you to decipher a person's preferred way of thinking or processing information, giving you a valuable edge in your personal and professional interactions. This, in some ways, is one of the most complicated NLP techniques, but it can also be the most important. So it's a worthy investment of your time. Sadly, it's often very badly taught, not because the trainers lack skills, but because they don't, but because it's a complex model to get your hands around. Now, I'm taking on a big challenge today, trying to explain this in a way that's never been done before, or I've never done it before, and that hopefully you will find it hard to forget. So let's get started right now. Step 1 of 3 to mastering this skill is understanding the origin and background of eye movements in communication. Dr. William James died in 1910 and was a highly influential American philosopher and psychologist. He's considered the father of American psychology and is famous for his work on pragmatism, functionalism, and the stream of consciousness. His observations on eye movements in mental imagery were groundbreaking for their time. James observed that people often make subtle eye movements when engaged in mental imagery, even though their eyes they're not fixated on any external object. He suggested that these eye movements might reflect the process of scanning and constructing mental images. While James' observations about eye movements and mental imagery haven't been fully confirmed by later research, his work certainly helped lay the groundwork for oculomotor research, not the easiest thing to say, which investigates the relationship between eye movements and cognitive processes. More recently, Robert Dilts researched at the Langley Porter Neuropsychiatric Institute in San Francisco in 1977, correlating eye movements with brainwave activity. He had trained with Richard Bandler, as I have done, and John Grinder, who are the two creators of NLP. Dilts suggested that eye movements could indicate how people access information through their senses, primarily the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic, what they see, what they hear, and what they feel, and also in a dialogue, which I'll have to explain more about that. Based on his research, Dilts proposed patterns of eye movements he called eye accessing cues that might correspond to someone creating information, imagining, or recalling past experiences, memory. So the different things, creating and memory. These patterns are typically associated with the specific directions of the eye movement, up or down, left or right, relative to the person's visual field. Step 2 of 3 is my opportunity to tell you a story that graphically illustrates the importance of eye movements in solving complex problems. And I hope that sharing this experience will also be therapeutic for me. Because I vividly remember my early years at school, because they were a nightmare. There were some excellent teachers, fortunately, but to my cost, there were also 2 cruel and sadistic psychopaths who decided they would break my spirit, presumably to rebuild me in their image, or perhaps to receive perverse gratification from terrifying a young child. This is one of their favorite sentences. They would scream it at me repeatedly. "You won't find the answer on the ceiling." How wrong can you be? Because the truth is, when we look up, we connect to a higher level of consciousness and we find answers to problems that would otherwise elude us. We all do this, including the greatest geniuses throughout history. And this is the gift that the psychopaths were trying to steal from me. Bad luck, you failed. Anyway, deep breath to remind you, you are listening to Zen and the Art of NLP with me, Dr. Steve Simpson. We're going to take a swift break while I compose myself. But before we do that, take a moment, please, to think about these 3 questions because they're big ones and we'll come back to them many times. Number 1, what is the one thing that you desire the most? The one thing you desire the most. I bet you spend loads of time thinking about that, as you should. Number 2, what's the one thing that is stopping you from achieving it? I hope you've been spending some time on that, because unless you can find out what is stopping you, then it means your chances of achieving what you desire are considerably less. The third one's a bit of a funny one. What's the one thing that you want to share with others? The one thing that you want to share with others. And the reason I throw this in, well, there's several reasons why I put this one in. But when you stop thinking about me, I, and you start thinking about you, them, they, others, you are raising your frequencies because you're coming from a giving place, and there's only good that can come from that. This is why we don't want to forget step 3 of these three questions. When we return, step 3 to learning all about this is to learn how Zen and NLP can help you control your emotions and empower you to decipher a person's preferred way of thinking or processing information. You might even be able to get clues. Are they actually telling you the truth or not? Trust me, as I always say every week, this is a lot easier than it might sound because we don't talk about rocket science on this show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. And we are right back. I hope you enjoyed pondering those 3 big questions during the break. Now, I've got another big question for you. Actually, it's more of a big ask. I'd like you to please email me at doc@drstephensimpson.com and tell me how you answered those 3 big questions and which I might be able to help you with. Because I'd like to use this as content for a future show. And in return, you'll help others struggling with the same issues. That's guaranteed. And when you help others, which is also guaranteed, you raise your frequencies and receive many gifts from the universe in return. You can also be anonymous. Tell me this in your note. The best way to find out more about me and my work, and I hope you do, is to check out my website, drstephensimpson.com. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter and discover plenty of other free stuff to explore, including the Zen Doctor and the Poker Genius podcast channels. If you feel rich, and I hope you do, or I hope you will be rich very shortly, you can purchase some great books, hypnotic audiobooks, and coaching programs there as well. As you would expect, I confidently recommend any of my books on Amazon. I've published 7 so far. I've no plans for an 8th, but you can never say never, can you? A good place to start would be my book, Get Lucky Now. It's been pretty popular, and I know from the notes I've had from people that it's helped a lot of people get lucky. According to the Amazon description, Get Lucky Now, The 7 Secrets of Lucky People, presents simple yet extraordinary strategies for listening to your intuition. Unscrambling complex issues into easy-to-understand concepts, Simpson offers real-world examples and visionary action steps to tap into your 6th sense and manifest your greatest ambitions. And as soon as you know exactly who you are, what you want, and how to obtain your objectives, you can forge your desired destiny. Yes, you certainly can. Anyway, moving on to step 3, the final step is learning how to recognize and interpret eye-access cues to decipher a person's preferred way of thinking or processing information, and possibly to determine whether they are telling the truth or fabricating a story. Now, here's a breakdown of NLP eye-accessing cues. And I said I'm going to do this in a slightly different way. There are a couple of things that are really important. Before you start, the most important thing to know is this. Are you left-handed? Are you right-handed? Or are you ambidextrous? Well, that's not too difficult, is it? Most people are right-handed. And if you're predominantly right-handed, your brain will prefer to use the right side of the brain to connect to your innate creativity. Remember that? If you're right-handed, the right-hand side of your brain will prefer to use that side to connect. If you're predominantly left-handed, as I am, your brain will prefer to use the left side of the brain to connect to your and my innate creativity. If you're ambidextrous, and quite a lot of people are, you will likely flip from the left side of your brain to the right side, which will make interpretation a little bit complex, but not impossible. So let's start with what you see. These examples assume that you are right-handed. Now, this next bit, I had to look in the mirror just to be sure about this. I hope your eyes are above your ears, not the top of your ears, but the holes in your ears. Most people, the eyes are above there. Therefore, I'm going to assume that they are. So if you create or construct visual images, your eyes will naturally move up and to the right, up and to the right, because that's where you're scanning your brain into the visual images. And this is how people like to think. If your eyes move up and to the left, you're moving away from creativity and you're trying to tap into a library of memories which are probably going to be pretty dull. So very different. Creativity on the one hand, into your database on the left. So how does this work in practice? Hopefully this will make it a bit easier to understand. Consider a simple question. What would you like to do tomorrow? As you create an image of your desired activity, your eyes will naturally move up and to the right, indicating a visual representation in your mind. What did you do yesterday? Eyes will move up and to the left as you remember events. Okay, the second major sense, what you hear. What is the best sound you would like to hear today? Eyes will naturally move to the right towards where your ear is, and then if you ask the question, what was the worst sound you heard yesterday? Oh, who knows what that might have been, an alarm going off next to you. Eyes will move to the left towards your left ear as you remember. And then what you feel, the kinesthetics. So how do you feel today? Let's say, I feel sad. My eyes and my head move down. We all look down when we're feeling sad, connecting to the source of my feelings, which are not in the brain. The source of my feelings are lower down, often in the heart or the stomach, and it can be other places as well. Now, a different kind of question about the feelings. How would you like to feel today? Our eyes move up and to the right as we visualize our feelings. You see, we're moving from a feeling now into something we can see. And the example that I've probably given several times is that of Professor Milton Erickson, known as the father of modern medical hypnosis. He saw a lot of people who are chronically depressed, because he would do, because these people come every week or every month for years on end. Sadly so. Anyway, when he was treating these patients in slightly controversial ways, on their way home, he said, don't drive, don't catch the bus or the tube or whatever. Part of your journey, I want you to walk, and I want you to count how many chimneys that you can see. Now, of course, he's not interested in chimneys, or I don't imagine he was, but what he is interested in is getting people to look up. Because when we look up, we raise our physiology, we raise our frequencies, just like when we look down. So a good thing to do, we can all do this. When we're walking, let's keep looking up, not down at the ground in front of us. Okay, a few little points about this. It's crucial to remember that NLP eye-accent cues are not definitive. We should always respect and value individual differences, because cultural background, handedness, left or right, ambidextrous, and personal experiences can influence eye movements. Remember, NLP eye-accessing cues are just one aspect of a larger picture. They should be used with other verbal and non-verbal cues, which we've talked about, such as posture, hand movements, and tone of voice, to achieve a more comprehensive understanding. If you research eye-access cues, you'll come across many conflicting views, which suggests that, as usual, more research is required. So how have people used these eye-accessing cues? Well, according to stories that Richard Bandler tells, he was hired by the CIA, and they did a lot of training in this because, of course, they're very interested in finding whether people are telling the truth or not, as are the police. And there are police forces around the world that have at least experimented with this. I certainly use it with some of my clients, not necessarily a lot, but one of the things that I spend a fair amount of time with is professional poker players. And as you can imagine, if they can pick up any clues about whether the other person has got two aces in his hand or two cards that aren't much good, then there's going to be a very big financial advantage to him or her. Um, Things you can do: practice by watching TV with the volume turned down, not only for eye accessing cues, but you will learn a lot by watching TV with no volume. It'll drive the people crazy around you, but they will get used to it, I assure you. Now, we've got some expressions that people use about the eyes, and one of the expressions is the deer in the headlights. I think we can all visualize that, can't we? That poor little D with the big headlights bearing down, eyes wide, not moving at all. We all know about fight and flight, but this poor little deer does the other thing, which is freeze. And I just hope that he or she decides to use flight in time. We've all heard the expression shifty eyes. People are looking one side or the other, one side or the other. Why would they be doing that? I don't know. There's many reasons, many innocent reasons, but they might also be flitting in between the truth and the creating type thing. And we've all heard about spinning eyes. Spinning eyes are pretty serious. When somebody's eyes are spinning, and occasionally we might see that, it's because they're under stress and they really do not have a clue how to respond. And they are literally searching the parts of their brain to do with visual, auditory, and feelings, trying to find an answer somewhere, just like how I used to look at the ceiling. And sometimes they will find the answer. As usual, the more time spent in practice will be rewarded as your skills myelinate and become automatic. It is therefore worth making the effort. Okay, moving on to 3 questions. Let's see how many we can get through. Hans wants to know, when a client is sitting opposite me and their eyes move to my left, would this be to their right? And this is where it gets really confusing. I know it shouldn't, but once we start looking at mirror image, when we look in the mirror and every left is right and all the rest other way, when we look at another person in front of us, it's like looking at a mirror image. It's easy in the heat of the moment to forget and to assume that your right is their right. And one of the reasons it probably is that when we see something, these signals, they go through the brain and they actually cross over to the other side. Not only do that, but they flip upside down. So already we're looking at something that's the wrong way around and also upside down. So brain's got quite a lot to process there. So anyway, Hans, you are right. When a client's sitting opposite their eyes move to my left, this would be their right, yeah. Bobby wants to know if some companies use this technique in interviews. I have heard that some companies do, and I hope that they are using caution because this is not absolute. It can give you indications, but nothing more than that. I have a feeling that when I used to go for interviews, I have a feeling that on a few occasions people were using this on me, and I didn't know anything about it at that time, but I thought they were watching me rather intently. Ellie wants to know, if I look up, will this help me to find solutions to problems? Well, yeah, it will. I mean, when I mentioned about Professor Milton Erickson looking up at the chimneys, definitely all of us should spend more time looking up than looking down. And for some of us, looking down has become our default. We do it without even thinking about it. So now it's time for the Zen and the Art of NLP top tip of the week. And I'm going to repeat this again. Practice by watching TV with the volume turned down. And I can also add to that, and don't care what other people say. Turn their volume down as well. Practice by watching TV with the volume turned down and really closely study how people move their eyes around. Some of the best actors are really good at this. They're playing a part, but they're making their eyes tell the story. This is the easy way to a lot more success with a lot less stress. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a great program lined up for you on the same day, at the same time, and at the same place next week. Be there and invite all your friends and family and everybody else too, even the people you don't like, because who knows, you might even get to enjoy their company and they might become your best friend. Stranger things have happened. Let's all raise the vibration of ourselves and our world to a higher frequency, because it certainly needs it. It seriously does. Finally, don't forget to check out my website, drstephensimpson.com. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter and discover plenty of other great stuff too. Don't forget to send me your answers to the big 3 questions posted just before the break. I would really appreciate that. Thanks for joining us on the show. I look forward to meeting you all again next week. In the meantime, meet many exciting new people, make massive progress on your projects, and most importantly, have almost too much fun. Goodbye for now.
You have been listening to the Zen and Art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress. Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we dive into the depths of your unconscious mind and awaken your intuition, unlocking hidden talents and supercharging your personal and professional relationships. Continue embarking on a stress-free journey towards unparalleled success by subscribing to future episodes and stay updated on the latest content. Easily share these captivating shows with your loved ones and create meaningful connections. Book a personal session with Dr. Steve Simpson to delve deeper into the topics that resonate with you. You can visit his website at drstevensimpson.com.